Hello, Newsweed fans. This is Gary Loss with Newsweed.com. And today I want to talk to you about how we should address immigration issues. And we need to address this in a humane and effective approach, right? This cannot be just humane and have chaos or just effective where we kind of turn a blind eye toward people who want to be here. And really, what you're seeing on the border is neither humane nor effective. And one of the reasons it's not humane is because it's not effective, right? It's chaos. We're not managing it correctly. So we need to do better. And I have some ideas about it. So, first of all, just understand the factors that are just complicating all of this, right? And some of it's within our grasp. So, 3 points I want to talk about. One, stop polarizing the score to score political points. Number two, recognize push versus pull forces of immigration. And number three, create a remote distributed approach to processing immigration applications. Let's dig into all three of these. First of all, stop polarizing to score political points on both sides here. Now, if you're one of these people that thinks it's just the other party, you're living in some kind of fantasy world. Both of these parties are to blame equally for different reasons. Okay. Whether you're the clumsy elephant or the dizzy, out of touch donkey, you're not getting it. Okay. The messages that you're sending and the policies you advocate often just don't jive with either a humanitarian or an effective approach to immigration. Now, I know that there are many Republicans who are actually thoughtful and have a humanitarian concern about how immigrants should enter this country and have advocated for such. But the overall message that seems to get out of the Republican Party is just stay where you are. Don't come in here. Remain in Mexico, remain wherever. I don't know, but don't come here. Okay. You know that's wrong. That's not the way it should work here. We're a nation of immigrants. We always have been. And we've had problems with immigration, but never like we've had now. And if we had always had this sort of idea that you just can't come here, and we've controlled our immigrants or immigration that has come through this country, but we haven't just said, oh, okay, we're going to just ship you all back now. Okay, there were rules and regulations in place, and we handled it. Okay? It's been an imperfect system. It's always been an imperfect system, but the way that we're doing it now is just crazy and sending a message sort of almost like a xenophobic message that you're just not welcome. Okay, that has no place anymore. On the other hand, this donkey approach of let's just have open borders. Again, I realize many Democrats don't believe that, right? But the voices that are the loudest out here and the message that seems to resonate and is just dominating the internet is this idea of open borders. We cannot have open borders. That leads to chaos and that leads to all kinds of problems down the road with people that we don't know who they are. We don't know even why they're here. But some of those people don't need to be here either because they're dangerous. We cannot have open border. It's a security issue. Okay. This is a silly, uninformed, unintelligent approach to immigration. It's just as bad as the, gee, just stay where you are. It seems more morally compelling, but in the end, you're just putting a lot of people at risk, including the very immigrants that you pretend you're helping. So stop with this open borders nonsense. Now, let's talk a little bit about push and pull forces of immigration. There are basically two things that make immigration happen: push forces and pull forces. Push forces are those conditions in the migrants' home countries that make it difficult or even impossible to live there. Poverty, war, crime, corruption make it difficult to stay where you are, right? And it makes you want to leave. It pushes you away. In Haiti, all of these things are going on, and they've been compounded by multiple natural disasters. Okay, it is unbelievably bad there. So you have to understand that people want out. It's dangerous, it's chaotic. They don't want to raise their children there, even though it's their home and they probably would love to stay there. Okay, if things got better. They don't necessarily just want to be here. They want to be here because things are bad enough that it's compelling them to leave. The other part is pull forces. And those are things, the circumstances in the destination country, like the United States, that make it more attractive to be rather than the country that you're living in. Things like freedom, economic opportunity, education, all the things that we kind of take for granted. Well, they want a part of that too. And of course, they want a part of it. Who wouldn't want a part of it? So these push and pull forces aren't going to go away. We can't just ignore them. And the worse the push forces are, the more immigration you're going to have from these countries. And as long as we have a good standard of living here, we're always going to have these pull forces. So the reality is that they are being pushed and pulled simultaneously. Now, the final idea is to create a remote, distributed approach processing immigration applications. First of all, let's send knowledgeable, skilled immigration personnel to host countries or nearby countries to process applications. So for Haiti, it would be Brazil, Chile, Dominican Republic, or Haiti itself. We could go to their embassies and work out of these circumstances where we're right there in the country to help process them. Okay, now you think that's going to cost more, right? Because, oh my gosh, we got to send all these people down. We got to pay the salaries. What do you think we're doing on the border right now? Spinning our wheels, putting all kinds of personnel, involving the military and the border patrol and all the costs, both humanitarian as well as material costs that go with that, housing them. No, we can't do that. We have to find an expeditious way to get it done there. Now, while we're there, we have to distinguish between true asylum cases, like they got to get out or they're in great danger, like mortal danger. And then we have other things like green cards and visas that will have to differentiate. And so some people will have to wait longer than others. I don't believe anyone should have to wait as long as some of the wait times that we have now. Some people wait like 8 to 10 years to get here. That's ridiculous. But I don't want people waltzing across our border either in a sort of open border policy, or they get here and then they're released without anybody really knowing who they are. This avoids all of that. Okay. So the bottom line is, again, some people are going to have to wait longer than others, but everyone's going to have an orderly process that they go through to become part of this country. And before I leave, I want to leave you with a couple of think points here. Think point number one. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the US undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, lawfully to become immigrants in this country. And that was none other than Barack Obama as a senator back in 2005. Those were valid words back then, and they're valid words now, and we need to honor them. And then there's this from George Washington. The bosom of America is open to receive not only the opulent and respectable stranger, but the oppressed and persecuted of all nations and religions, whom we shall welcome to a participation of all our rights and privileges, if by decency and propriety of conduct they appear to merit the enjoyment. I believe that most of the immigrants coming from Haiti, as well as elsewhere, the vast majority of them meet this criteria that Washington talked about. Okay, many of them are oppressed and persecuted, and many of them will add a richness to our country. Okay? We can't just say, stay where you are. All right, so that's it. No more open borders and no more just, oh, you can't come into this country. We need a better system. I've pointed out a way to do that. Until we meet again, my name is Gary Loss. I'm a journalist at newsweek.com, where we are rolling with the times, straining for the truth. Thank you. Bye-bye.